All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
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 Great.
Perfect.
All right. So our normal agenda, we're going to start the meeting now. We are going to do our roll call. Dr. Jimmy Bowser's not here with us today. Dr. Kraft. I saw you. I know you're here. Colonel, thank you.
Present, you bet.
Colonel Dalby. We cannot hear you, but I saw you, and I think maybe I can kind of hear that it sounds like you were trying to come on. So thank you. Lena De La Cruz, I see you just jumped on. Hi. Thank you. Dr. Glenn, I have not seen today. Simone Hendricks.
Present.
Thank you. We chatted about how quickly the year is flying by and how busy everything is since it's April. So my heart goes out to all of you. Captain Huffstetler. Nancy Patterson. Shelley Ramos.
Here.
Dr. Bernie Roper. Kathy Smith. Lonnie Webster. We cannot hear you, Lonnie. I see you. Cannot hear, yeah. And Emma, I'm sorry, I'm going to say your last name probably wrong. Sacco, in for Madison Yandel from the governor's office. Okay, I did not see her. So we don't have any public comment today. We'll move on through that. We do have some acknowledgements, introductions, and congratulations. We want to acknowledge that it is Month of the Military Child. And so we'd like to later, when we have some time for people to talk, to tell us some things maybe that you've done, anything interesting or special that's going on, or how you're celebrating. Shelley, did you have something you wanted to say?
Sorry, I'm off topic,
Okay.
but it looks like Emma and Nancy may be on the participant side of the meeting. And so I think what I will do is I'll resend the message that has the panelists link to both you, Nancy, to you and Emma, so that you can join and we'll be able to see and hear you.
Okay, thanks. We wanted to give some time for Captain Huffstetler to say hello. He recently joined, but I don't think he's on the call today. So we will do that the next time that he is here. If he is, please jump in and say something, but I don't think he is yet. And then we wanted to say congratulations to Dr. Roper. I don't think he's on the call either, but he was recently elected to the National Association of Federally Impacted Schools, NAFIS board. And so we wanted to congratulate him and have him say a little something. So if he jumps on, we will do that as well. So really exciting today. We have a student with us, and I see her, but we also have some parents with us. And so we are going to just give them an opportunity to talk to us about their experience making the transitions from school to school. And we have a few questions that will help kind of guide the conversation, but we want this to be an open conversation. So please jump in. If anyone has other questions to ask or comments they want to make, please do. This is totally open. And so we'll start by, I have not seen our Gonzalez family on the call. If I'm wrong about that, please jump in and let me know. But we do have the Resto family. And so I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and then we'll start with some questions.
Hi, my name is Marian Resto. I'm journalist mom.
Hi, this is Joan, her father. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to
Hi,
meet you. Hi.
I'm Jonalise. I'm a senior in high school and I'm 18.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's hard to alter schedules to make this, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're just going to start with, and we'll start with Jonalise. Tell us about your transition experience as a student. What has that been like?
Well, for me personally, I was born into it. So like I was born in Germany, so it's always been a part of my whole life. We've PCS'd 7 times. We've been to Germany twice. We've been here twice. We've been to Korea, El Paso, and Colorado.
Wow.
And for me, it's like, I don't know, it's always been a part of my life. To me, it's like normal. I don't see anything, I guess, special or that makes me different. The only thing is I get to visit other countries in the world.
That's very special. That's really special. And so, how do you handle that moving around? I mean, it sounds like you've really just grasped the hang of it and go with the flow. But what are some things that you do to help with that?
Well, some things that I've had to learn was how to be more outgoing so that I have like friends no matter where I go, people that I can like talk to. And that really helped with the transition and moving. So it's kind of like moving helped me be more outgoing and outgoing helped me with the transitions.
That's really interesting. Do you know other military connected students who maybe haven't had the same experience or mindset about it as you?
I think everybody's different in their own way. Like when we lived in Korea, which was, I think, 3 years ago, everybody there was military connected. And so there were other people who, like me, were like more outgoing and just didn't have that problem. But there were others who didn't want to leave because they were so connected to the people that they've met. And I think it's important to learn how to, I guess, let go of the things that like you can't hold on to anymore.
I'd like to switch to the parents for a minute and say, wow, listen to your child. So mature. What has the experience been like for you?
Well, from the very beginning, we have been trying to always let them know there's always something to look forward when it comes to moving in the military. And like she said, new experiences, new friends. And that's always that we always impose, me and my wife, into them like, hey, don't look at it as what you're losing, it's what you're gaining, all right? What you're losing, just remember they're gonna be following you in your minds and heart. That's about it. Always being open-minded.
Yeah. Mom, do you have anything to add?
For me, I like to move. So
She loves it.
yeah, I like to meet new people and new, I don't know, new places. So for me, it's not that hard.
I see Nancy has joined. Nancy, do you know if the Gonzaleses have joined?
I'm not tracking the Gonzaleses. Jonalise Resto is from our district.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got mixed up.
No, that's okay. And Jonalise is amazing.
Yes. I just didn't want to leave our other family out if they had, I'm not seeing them, but I didn't want to miss them. Sorry, Nancy. Thank you. Yes, thank you. All the props to Nancy for coordinating this wonderful family to join us today. So in particular regarding the actually moving school to school, how has that been in terms of like making sure you get all your credits and making sure that that transition is seamless and that you're kind of just on the same path you were so that you're not delayed? Can you kind of speak to that?
I think my mom's the one that takes care of all of that. I just kind of go to school where she tells me to. So, but I don't think we've had any problems. I know I have an older brother, and I remember him telling me whenever we moved here the first time, he said that the day that he got there, because it was like halfway through the year, the day he got there, they were having like a test or something. And the test that he took, he already knew everything about from like the previous school back in like Germany. So I think it's a little bit of like difference, but I personally don't remember having trouble with anything during
Well,
the
that's
transition.
great. That's exactly the way the military compact is supposed to make it feel. You're not even supposed to notice. Marion, since you're the one who was doing all of the behind the scenes work, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, the first time that we moved to Killeen area, I looked up for the middle school because my oldest son was going to the middle school for the first time. And honestly, I was looking for the reviews for all the schools. So I choose my my house based on the school. So I just wanted to make sure that he go to that school, because it was apparently was the best one by the time. It was Charles Patterson Middle School in Killeen. So yeah, that's what I do. Nothing like major than that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's amazing to hear. That's what we hope for. What has been challenging? You all are very positive, and but I'm curious, what would you say it has been the most challenging part?
I think it would be getting used to like new places and not knowing where everything is. My mom is the one that takes care of all of that too, but like it's kind of like, where are we? What do we do? Where do we go? Who do we talk to? Type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So what about meeting school staff in terms of knowing who at the school do I go to?
I don't think I've ever really like had a problem with that. I just kind of like go to class and like, I guess, observe everybody else, see what they do, and then learn from their behavior and just copy.
Okay. Is there any of our other panelists that have thoughts or want to ask any questions? We have more, but I want to make sure I pause and let other people jump in.
I just have one question.
Oh,
If you can
sorry.
hear me. Can you hear me? This is Damon Dalby.
Yes.
All right. So good. I got the microphone worked out.
Great.
Do any of you guys play sports, and how has the transition been in sports or other activities for that matter?
I used to play soccer in like middle school. And when I moved to Korea, I continued playing soccer. But when I moved here, it was kind of different because soccer was like, it was in a certain class period. But that class period also had a Spanish 4 class that I wanted to take. So I took Spanish 4 instead of like soccer. And I just never played soccer again. Instead, I joined JROTC.
That was a great question, Colonel Dalby. I appreciate that question. I think that yeah, maybe a similar experience for military connected students. Where do you and parents, I'd love to hear from you as well. Where do you turn for information about school and how to transfer schools and resources at schools?
I turned to my mom.
Okay, and then I go to the internet. So
Okay. So not any one particular resource, you just research.
yes, just research, and it depends. If we go overseas, then we turn to the military community, like ACS, all the programs that all the bases has.
Okay. Have you all been connected much with your school liaison at the
No.
military installation at your no.
No,
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 not
usually
really.
we just go straight to the school and try to ask them directly from the source.
Okay.
Sherry, I can add that in our school district, we do have a member of the Fort Cavasso School Liaison Office that sits with our board. They attend all the Board of Trustee meetings. So we have a representative for military connected families there at our board meeting. And I know to a limited degree that our military connected families, when they in process, the school liaison office is part of that in processing on the installation as well. So we try, as a school district and the school liaison office, we try to collaborate as much as possible to provide support without necessarily calling out one or the other on where the information is coming from.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Is there something you all would like for school staff or this council to understand better about your experience or you as a military connected family?
I think for me personally, I don't really have anything, but I think it's important to know that everybody is different. So you have to be like patient because not everybody is outgoing, and some people might be like more closed off than I am, at least.
My only comment would be that at least the faculty or the personnel at the school need to be patient with the student, not just in that case, but also on the how far ahead they are in school, because maybe the school they're coming from might be a little behind or a little ahead of the rest. That's all I have.
Thank you. Lena, I see you want to say something.
Yes, I have a question to the parents. Have you ever encountered any like deny or any delayed enrolling the students in school because you're coming from overseas or because you don't have all the records by the time you arrive to your new duty station?
No, never. We
Okay,
always
that's
move
good.
with the records in hand.
Okay, so that's good. Good to know. And my last question is, do you guys use like for the high schoolers, the stabilization request, like once a student is in, I believe it's in grade 10, that you can request stay on the current duty station so the kids can continue until they graduate?
Yes, we did it for our oldest son.
Okay,
Just once, yes.
thank you. Good job, Mom. Looking for a
Thank you.
school before the house.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I do.
Do you have any advice or recommendations that you would give other military connected parents and students?
Just to be open-minded about everything. It just makes life easier, and not just for like being in the military, but like for all of life. Just be open-minded.
We can all take that advice. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, the council's role here, I could have said this up front, but is to help students be able to transition smoothly as they move to new school districts. And so being able to hear that your experience has been so positive is really amazing to hear. And but we want to hear all those experiences so that we make sure that the priorities the council sets are in line with what the needs are. So you're always welcome to reach out to us and give us your thoughts and to share your experiences. So we really appreciate you all being here today. And is there anything before we close the panel? Is there anything else anyone wants to ask or say?
I just want to ask, Jonalise, are you graduating this next month?
Yes, I am.
Well, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And where are you
Congratulations.
going and what are
Yes.
Yeah.
you doing?
I plan to go to Texas Tech to study. I'm going to major in biology and then minor in forensic science.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that is it for our panel today. You do not have to stick around for the rest of this business, but you're more than welcome to. But thank you again very much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. All right. So I see Captain Huffstetler. We have not gotten to formally meet you yet, so I'm hoping maybe you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you. I think that, do I need to, I don't know. I think that you have 6 children, so we want to hear a little bit more about what life is like for you. Yeah, we cannot hear you. And we can keep going and come back. If you're having a mic issue, we'll keep going. And when you are up and running, please let us know. So we're going to switch to Shelley.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Not near as exciting as the panelists and hearing from students and parents, the folks who we support. But I'm going to talk a little bit about this state council and whether or not we want to give consideration to adding new representatives to it. So on this next slide, you will see.
Oh, sorry.
Oops.
I'm just sitting here.
It's okay. So recently, the Interstate Council sent out some information reminding commissioners, and I will just say this is something I was not aware of and perhaps should have been, but they reminded us that it is considered a best practice for state councils to have a representative from the National Guard or Reserves. And they shared some information with us. You can see it over on the side. Currently, 17 states have include representatives from either the National Guard or Reserves on their state council. 16 states have a National Guard's representative. Well, I should say 15 have a representative from National Guard. 1 has both a representative from the National Guard and a representative from the Reserves. And then 1 state has just a member of the Reserves represented on their state council. typically, in all of these instances, I believe it is the norm that the National Guard or Reserve member serves as a non-voting ex officio advisor on the state council. So they come to meetings, they share information as applicable to their particular organizations, and are typically invited at the behest of the council. And so we wanted to share this information with you. I wanted to share this information with you, and then ask if the council wants to consider or give some thought to adding a representative from the National Guard or Reserves as an ex officio member. On the next slide, Sherry, if you'd advance to the next slide, I wanted to give a little bit more background on National Guard and Reserve. So recall that the military compact covers only members of the National Guard and Reserve who are on active duty orders under Title 10. That means that they've been called to active duty by the president. You know, of course, that once upon a time, the National Guard and Reserve was considered kind of, I think they called it a last duty, you know, a last, like they were called to duty as a last resort. But more and more, I believe that my understanding is, in talking to members of the military, that it's become more and more of an important and a really critical component of our active duty armed forces. And so it's more common, therefore, that folks are called to active duty. I tried to find some data, and this has been kind of an ongoing issue for many members of the commission across the country. We tried to find some data for you on members of the National Guard and Reserves, but it's very limited. And even the Department of Defense, when asked, was really uncertain. Even the data that they do have from 2020, they were uncertain of its accuracy. So instead, we're not providing that to you, but they do have just some general national data that they feel strongly is accurate. So from 2020 though, so still pretty old, but they said that about 10% of the members of the National Guard and Reserves, I got my acronym wrong there, National Guard and Reserves, moved intrastate. So they moved from one place to another within the same state. About 7% moved interstate, so from one state to another, and they're basing this on zip code data if you're interested in how they know these things. And then more importantly, I think 77% of the National Guard and Reserve members did not move in that year, which is a large number. So the reason that I present that data to you about the frequency of the moves and where they're moving from is that the compact, not only does it only cover Title 10, but it only would cover interstate moves. So it's a smaller percentage of individuals, still a really important number. The very, very preliminary data that we saw said somewhere around 37,000 children in Texas are school age dependents of a member of the National Guard and Reserves. So even if you take 7% of that 37,000, which I've not done the math and I'm not going to try to guess and do it right now, it's a smallish number, but I think no smaller. It still would be larger than some of the other constituencies that are represented or covered under the compact. So really just trying to provide this as some background information for you. And I'm going to stop talking, and on the next slide, I was going to open it up for a little bit of discussion. I've really actually got two questions for you to consider. One is, does the council wish to consider adding a representative of the National Guard and Reserves as an ex officio member? And then the other question related to that, as I was thinking on that question, it did make me wonder, are there any other groups that we want to consider potentially inviting as an ex officio member on the State Advisory Council? So the one that came to mind is MSEC, or there's any number of the National Commission has a new ex officio organization, Blue Star Families. Are there any organizations out there that you think would be valuable to have their input, or either to get input from them or to ensure that they come to these meetings so that they can hear information that everybody is sharing? So, as promised, I'm going to stop talking and see if there are any thoughts on these two questions.
Shirley, just for clarification, when well, first, let me say, I'm absolutely a fan of adding a member or representative from the National Guard. And I appreciate you bringing that up. But for clarification's sake on the organization, I'm not at all opposed to this, but just curious about, are there any criteria or guidelines for determining, would the position be defined as an MSEC spot, or is it just for organizations in support of the military? How do we determine who gets the spot, I guess?
So that would be up to the council to decide. Your operating procedures would just need to be amended to add that. So you could certainly do it as a representative of an organization, and then collectively we could sort of make recommendations or think about, and then maybe even it could be where you cycle through. So maybe one year it's MSEC and the next year it's Blue Star Families. And then you could kind of cycle through it. Or you could make the determination to have a position for more than one organization. So you could decide you want an MSEC position and you want a Blue Star Family. So I see that Captain Huffstetler is back on, and I want to take advantage of that. So I'm going to stop talking, Sherry, if you don't mind, so we can go ahead to Captain Huffstetler.
I'm so sorry. I feel like this is my worst tech fail of my career. So, hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, Sherry, as you mentioned, and I was able to hear most of that. I think I've bounced back and forth on different links listening to it, but yeah, it's great to be here. As you mentioned, I just recently took over as a CO here in November, and yes, we have 6 kids. My oldest is a freshman in college down at A&M, and then I have 2 in high school, and then 1 in 6th grade and 2 in 1st grade, twins in 1st grade. So my wife is a teacher here at charter school in Fort Worth. So and we just reading through all the literature I've seen so far on what this panel and this group does. It's just real exciting because we are just huge advocates for students and for military kids and what that looks like. We've PCS, I think, 11 times, and my graduating senior has 3 high schools on his transcript. So we know well what those challenges look like in every thing. And again, the state of Texas, we've been trying to get back here for a while, and we finally made our way back to Fort Worth after 10 years of wandering in the wilderness and other places in the United States. And we're excited to be back, and just the way that that things are set up here have made our transition back here extremely smooth. And so, yeah, thankful to be here and be on with you guys, and certainly hoping to advocate however we can for making this process for kids is as seamless as we can, because they're the ones that put in a lot of work is supporting the family and supporting what their moms or dads are doing in the service.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Shelley, do you want to, or does anybody have any questions for Captain Huffstetler? Not now, but we may later, so be prepared.
So thank you, Captain Huffstetler, for joining us and for jumping in there. I didn't want to keep you waiting in the event that your tech problems continued. So appreciate that. Back to the discussion question at hand. We don't have to make any decisions today, first of all. This was, I think, what I would consider just sort of a preliminary discussion to sort of test the waters, see what you all were thinking about either one of these ideas. So I think the options are that you can continue to discuss this, make no decision today and continue to discuss this. You can give Sherry some direction on one or both of these, maybe go back. We want a little bit of research. We want some more information. Or you can decide, you know what, I think it's good. The State Advisory Council is good where it's at, and we don't need to explore the addition of any new ex officio members at this time. There may be other options I didn't think of, so feel free if anyone wants to come off mute and ask any questions or make any comments, you're more than welcome to.
Shelley, I'll just go back and add that I do like the idea of moving forward with adding the National Guard. I probably need a little time to process what I'm thinking about the ex officio positions for the organizations. I'm trying to wrap my mind around what that would look like. And my hesitation is I don't want to do anything that's exclusive or fails to be inclusive of organizations. And I'm struggling to wrap my mind around exactly their purpose or role in our council. And then what is the vision for having them join us, you know, to what end? And just making sure that I'm understanding it well. So I'm gonna, for me, just kind of pause on that part of it for right now.
Thanks, Nancy. Any other thoughts?
This is Simone. If I can just add, I feel the same way. I feel that the National Guard and Reserves would be great, a great addition to this council. But I would also like some more information or consider what other groups to invite. So I'm kind of echoing what Nancy says. This is my feeling as well.
Thank you, Simone.
This is Lena. Pretty much what Nancy and Simone says about the National Guard, yes. To that, how about if we consider inviting the nonprofit organizations, like they can come and talk to us and express what they're doing right now to the community. I know Blue Star conducts a survey every 2 years. MFund is releasing the results for the survey in June. That's another nonprofit. I was an advisor with them. So there's plenty organization that maybe we can invite and we understand what they're doing instead of having them being part of the committee.
Is there anybody that would be opposed to inviting some representatives of the different organizations to a meeting?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think likewise. I think that is something that I see Sherry taking notes over there that we could probably work on and ask a couple of folks. Let me ask you this, if you have an organization in particular in mind that you'd like to have us reach out to, we will start, I think, with the organizations that are ex officios to the National Commission. If they have a presence in Texas, we'll go ahead and invite them maybe to share. Maybe we could do like a short panel discussion similar to what we did with the student and the parents. So if you all have questions, you can ask them, but we'll ask them to come and prepare something for you about their organization and what they do in Texas. I also, I heard three individuals say that they're interested in moving forward with adding a representative for National Guard and Reserves. Is there any opposition to that idea?
I was just going to say, Captain Huffstetter here, I was going to say that I would certainly back you up there. And, you know, us being a joint reserve base here in Fort Worth, we have obviously a massive reserve presence here, as well as Texas Air National Guard and eventually Texas Army National Guard. So happy to do any vetting too. If there's, you know, want me to have discussions with the commanders of those units, I could discuss with them and see if they would see value or input in that. A little different problem set probably than what the active duty population does. And I'm TAR, so I'm active duty in the reserves. So, you know, just we have all types here. So we're very inclusive on the base here in terms of who we hold hands with. But happy to discuss that with some of the leadership here if that would be of value to the group.
I think that would, I'm going to, so it's my own opinion, Captain Huffstetter, I think that would be of great value to us to have some more information, what they think themselves, like if they find value in serving as an ex officio of this group.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll have those discussions and I'll work with Heather, our liaison here, to kind of put that together as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll look for some more information from Captain Huffstetter, and then we'll bring back a potential amendment to the operating procedures if you all decide to move forward with this, and we'll do that at our next meeting. And then we will also take steps to invite some representatives of the different ex officio groups that are active here in Texas. And no promises about being able to do that for the next meeting, because I know summer is the busiest time of year for those organizations. But we'll do our best, and then, you know, we can address this at a future meeting. Might take a couple of meetings to hear from a couple of these different groups, but then we can move forward with those discussions in the future.
And please just feel free to send me an email if you have ideas about any other organizations to look at and invite. So we're going to do a quick update on 2024 council priorities, things we've been talking about the last couple of meetings. So one of those that we had agreed on was that we would provide a letter to installation commanders. So that letter was sent in March, and it was about Month of the Military Child, and it was about the military compact. So that was sent. Actually, there's a little screenshot of the letter. Maybe some of you have seen it. It had some links to resources and information to share with people on their installation. So hopefully that was positive for everyone. Then we had another training, a military compact training for counselors. That was with ESC 20, so that's the San Antonio area. And throughout that training, we were just trying to collect information about counselors' experiences with the military compact and transitions. And so we did some polls, and so you can see those there. I'm familiar with the provisions of the military compact, and so it was interesting to see there was kind of this very split representation in that training. 37% were familiar and 37% were not familiar. And then kind of a little word wall, just what do people think of when they think of the military compact? So that was just kind of a little fun thing. But then, the last question there was, where do you go for information or help when you have a military connected student and who's transferring to your school? And so overwhelmingly, people go to their school registrar. And so props to you, Lena. But I think that reinforces what you all had talked about in terms of creating some material specifically for registrars. So wanted to share that with you. There was another question, based on your experience working with military children and their families, what are the biggest challenges of the transition experience? And so those that were, they are in order, is what I'm trying to say, the chart over there. So making new friends was what the majority of people said. So friends, finding friends. And then third from the top, you can see there's credit transfers at the high school level. And so that is what, you know, the military compact is really dealing with, a lot of that. So another priority of the council was creating a informational one-pager that would just be for schools, for parents, for military installations. It really is just a general way to distribute information. And so we worked with our team here at TEA and we created this flyer. We wanted to have you all look at it, see what you think of it, but then we will start making it available. So I can plan on sending this all to you after this meeting so that you can really look at it. There's a version that can be like put on a website, a digital version, but then there's also a version that you can print and have in an office or wherever you want to have it.
Lena just put a really good comment in the chat. Lena, do you want to speak to your comment?
Is there a Spanish version? I can
No.
do it. I can translate.
We have a staff member here that does our translations, but I'm embarrassed that you had to remind us, so we will make sure we will get right on that.
Okay. If not, I volunteer to do it. It's not the first time I do it.
Okay, thank you. We may send it to you to give a quick look after it's translated and let us know if we need any adjustments.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lena. So I'll keep it up there for a second just for you to kind of look over. But it's just real general basic information and then a QR code to take you to additional information.
And I don't recall, Sherry, if you mentioned that this is also printable, so we'll print it as postcards and take it with us when we go present in person, and pass that out to audience members. So if you feel free to do the same if you ever happen to be talking to anybody about the compact.
And so then this is circling back to that registrar one pager. So Lena helped provide some information about what specific things registrars would need on a flyer or one pager. And so this was the beginning of looking at that, because that's the next step, is to figure out, okay, we're going to do a registrar one pager, what should be on it. And so if other people have thoughts about that, this is just some of the preliminary information. So real specific to who's covered, and then some more specific details about issues. So there's like the kinder first grade eligibility, and then absences related to deployment. So some of those specifics being on this flyer. And this flyer may need to be maybe a little bigger, a little longer, since there will be more details. But just wanted to let everyone know that we do recognize the importance of that flyer, and that's kind of our next step to work on.
Sherry, could we add something about their ability to carry a copy of their records?
Yep. Thank you. All right, so those were the updates on priorities. And now we have just a few other staff reports, and then we'll open the floor to anyone else. I'm going to hand it over to Shelley.
Thank you. So I may have mentioned before that I serve on the executive committee for MIC3, and I just got back from our executive committee meeting. We meet twice a year. Well, I mean, we meet in person twice a year, and then we meet monthly virtually. But at this most recent meeting, I just wanted to just kind of share with you some of the highlights. There's a lot of conversation around the commission's budget in general and how we might take steps to ensure that we are, continuing to be good stewards of the dues that every state pays to the council or to the commission. So lots of conversation on that, and I expect lots of continuing conversations regarding budget and finance. We did do some planning, as you can imagine, for the annual business meeting that is taking place in October this year in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll just share with you that I'm very excited because it's very rare that I can get a direct flight to one of these annual business meetings. So I'm excited that it's in our neighboring state of Albuquerque, or New Mexico, rather, in Albuquerque. We also did some planning regarding upcoming tier group meetings. So tier group meetings are the commission has identified 4 tiers, and they divide each of the states into one of those 4 tiers based on the demographics. So the number of military connected students that each state serves that are eligible under the compact. So it should come as no surprise to you that Texas is in tier 1 because we serve the second largest number of students that are covered under the compact, second to Virginia. And so we just did some planning. Those tier groups try to meet at least 2 times a year, once at the in-person annual business meeting, and then at least once online. And so there are some meetings scheduled for this summer. And so we did some planning about topics that would be addressed at those meetings. We also did some planning for the upcoming training module. There will be a new course in the learning management system in the training portal for new commissioners. And then we had a lengthy conversation about a new rule that has been proposed by a member state related to the award of credit, in particular, when a student is transferring from one where the sending state and the receiving state are on different enrollment systems. And by that, they mean if they're transferring from a sending school that has maybe they're on the trimester system to one that's on the semester system or vice versa. Apparently, the timing is creating an issue, and oftentimes students are coming without credit being awarded in the sending state. It creates some issues. So I expect that the Rules Committee will have some more conversation on that. There probably or possibly could be a new rule proposed for the members at the October annual business meeting. So that, I think, Sherry, can you go to the next slide? I don't remember if it's me. Oh, yeah, one more announcement. So some of you may know, I mentioned earlier, Blue Star Families. It's an ex officio member that was approved. It's brand new to MIC3. They were approved at the November 2023 annual business meeting, and they were added in. I'm sure many of you know probably all about Blue Star Families. They were created in 2009 by military spouses, in fact, and their goal is to connect them to other members of the military family, but also to their civilian neighbors, and create, as you can see, their strong communities of support. They do an annual survey, and they brought that up for us. Wanted to mention in case you happen to be communicating with any of your constituents that survey is open right now. So they're collecting that information. And then we did a little bit of a deep dive into the 2022 survey results from Blue Star. And you'll see that on this next slide. Because there were a lot of questions in that survey. They do this survey annually, but has different focus every year. In the education component of the survey in 2022, there were a lot of questions about the interstate compact. And so I found some of the data really interesting. So just sharing a couple of things there with you. The proportion of survey respondents who do not know about the interstate compact. So 80% of those with a child, the oldest child is in elementary. 72% of those, their oldest child is in middle school. And then you can see that people gain more awareness. I don't know if this is an accurate depiction, but it's how they present the data in the survey. Oldest child is in high school, only 60, it starts to drop 63%. I suspect because they start to have difficulty as they transfer their older students and transferring credits and participation in extracurriculars and things like that, things that are addressed in the compact. Still, in my opinion, those rates are too high. You know, our goal is always, as Sherry will discuss with you and has discussed with you, some of the training that we go out and do is to try and raise that awareness. And then just a second table that they included in that report. What is the percentage of those who responded that they do not know about the compact by branch? And so you can see that data there. I think I'll continue to dive more into that report and how it, what it has to say about the compact, and see if there's some additional information that we might talk about at our next meeting in terms of how this state advisory council can direct us to do more outreach. Where do you want us to focus our efforts in training about the compact, et cetera? But it does raise again for me the issue that our parents could use some additional information about the compact, and maybe picking some of y'all's brains about what are the best ways to communicate about the compact to parents. And that wraps up my report, Sherry.
Jimmy's not here with us today, but if he were, he would tell us that the Purple Star Campus designation launch has started. It opened April 1st and it goes through June 7th. And so there's links here to the application to apply to be a Purple Star Campus. And there's the spring interest meeting happened, but there's a recording of the presentation that you're welcome to pass along to people or to watch. And I think that kind of covers most of that. If you have questions or want to know more about this, just please reach out and we can provide more information. But I will send this presentation, so you will have those links. And then I just wanted to mention that we did update the operating procedures with what you all agreed to at the last meeting, which was regarding term length. And there was going to be an exception to positions 1 and 3 in the operating procedures. So that has been made, and the operating procedures are available on your council webpage. And now it's open to you all. And we can kind of circle back to if you have anything you want to share about the month of the military child, any celebrations, or anything else you want to discuss.
Sherry, I can just share Jonah Lease. I should have said it when she was on, but the student we had participating as part of the panel, she actually won an essay contest about service for all of 5th brigade for Cadet Command. So it's multiple states. And at the end of the year, we're doing a celebration for all of our seniors who've decided to enlist in the armed forces. She's going to go and be part of that program there as well.
Wow, thank you. All right, always feel free to send us communication at any point, anytime. The upcoming event that we have on the calendar is the El Paso Area Directors of Guidance. We're doing a military compact training for their counselors. So we did this last year. We're going to do it again. But then we are also adding registrars to that training. So that will be in August to get everyone ready for the new school year. And then your next meeting is July 15th, 1 o'clock as always. If you have anything you'd like to add to the agenda, just send us that information. We're happy to add it in. And we did have another student and parent, so I'm going to try to get them to join us in July because I'd love to keep hearing those voices and making sure that we're just always, trying to hear from our students. So
There is, I'm not going to read it out loud, but there is something in the chat to look at.
oh yeah,
Well, Lonnie, unfortunately, I'm sorry your mic's not working, or maybe it is. No, it looks like you're off mute, but we just can't hear you. Well, thank you. Like I said in the chat, thank you so much for being part of the inaugural State Council for Texas, and we really appreciate all that you've done, all your insight, and thank you so much for your service.
yeah, thank you, Lonnie. And so we will miss you. All right, so that concludes our meeting today. And I will send all this information. You'll get this presentation. You'll also receive the one-pager, the flyer. Please look at it. Let us know if you have any suggestions. And then we will just start preparing for the next meeting. So thank you all.
Thank you.